You may not realize it just yet, but we are on the footsteps of a constitutional collision involving all three branches of government. It all started with the Donald Trump executive order that many are calling a Muslim ban, but if you read it, it really isn't. It's a temporary halt of immigration from 7 countries where ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other terrorist groups who want to do harm to America have a stronghold. If it was a Muslim ban, these 6 countries that have the highest Muslim populations would be on the list. These 6 make up 63% of the world's Muslims. Not one of them's on the list, so it's difficult to call it a Muslim ban. However, as with many things, Donald Trump's own words have come back to bite him.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
So you could argue that even though in wording it's not a Muslim ban, in intent, it sure sounds like it. And that's why federal judge James Robard issued a stay on the travel ban until it can be argued in court. Look, there's going to be legal papers filed and arguments made in circuit court and appellate court. None of that matters, because either way, this is headed to the Supreme Court, where the power of the judicial branch will compete with the power of the executive branch. Now, the Supreme Court has already ruled that Donald Trump and the executive branch has the upper hand in this fight. In 1950, the highest court ruled that the exclusion of aliens is a fundamental act of sovereignty inherent in executive power to control the foreign affairs of the nation. In other words, the President of the United States has far-reaching power to exclude anybody he wants from entering this country for national security reasons. Now, for those who feel aggrieved by the executive order, those in the 7 countries who want to come here, they aren't citizens. They aren't even here, which means the Constitution of the United States doesn't apply to them and they have no right to due process. And finally, in 1952, Congress gave the president broad power to suspend the entry of any class of alien he considered a threat to the country. Now, lawyers for the Justice Department will make those arguments in support of the president's executive order. But they also have to deal with this. A 1965 law passed by Congress that states no one can be discriminated against in the issuance of a visa because of race, sex, nationality, place of birth, or place of residence. Now, that place of residence part is going to be a real difficult time in the courts for this executive order, since place of residence is the sole criteria for banning someone. Needless to say, this is not an open and shut case, and the Supreme Court could go either way, and this is where it gets really interesting. Right now, the Supreme Court seems to have 4 justices in support of the executive order and 4 justices against the executive order. Do you see where this is going? This makes the confirmation of Trump's Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch crucial to people on both sides of the argument. The case will be making its way to the Supreme Court at the same time the confirmation hearings will be taking place. And the Democrats will be doing everything they can to keep him off the court for that decision, while the Republicans in the White House will be doing everything they can to get him on the bench. The Supreme Court, Congress, and the White House, the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branches will be challenging each other's powers for a constitutional battle of the ages. For students of the Constitution, of government, of law, for plain old news junkies, this will be the Super Bowl of constitutional fights. And what makes it really fascinating is that just like the Super Bowl, we have no idea who's going to win. But this will set a precedent that will fundamentally change the way this country works from here on out, and it will all play out live in front of our eyes. I just wanted to give you a heads up so you could plan your constitutional Super Bowl party. I'm Larry Menti. See you again next week.